boom, because I already got this is my chart. I didn't put my name up there because I don't want people to know my real name.
Oh, no, you're fine.
Yeah, I just put John Doe for an example. But
no, it's probably a wise decision.
Yeah, because you never know what people's disposition is, so you don't want to put nothing.
Well, yeah, you know how people get. They're like, oh.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, no, actually, not that. Put me up. Okay, so we're going to break down because this shout out to I cannot think of her name right now. Sweet Pea for recommending this, and we want more recommendations. Me and Gabby welcome more recommendations.
Absolutely, the more the merrier.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. I was trying to tag one person, but
okay.
ROCHE. What's going on, Gab? The kids got you running all over the place, or what?
Yeah, they sure do. We started homeschooling this week, and so getting that routine started was interesting because one of my children, she's a little extra.
Really?
I love her, but she's a little dramatic, and I don't play that way. So I'm having to readapt my teaching abilities to cater to her a little bit for her to enjoy what she's doing versus being upset with it. So that's like the only random thing in the course of 3 days.
I got you. That makes total sense. And I was like, let me give Gabby a little bit of time because I know she's probably doing mom stuff. It's the evening time and probably time for dinner and all that.
Yeah, we've gotten started on something, so
that's
it's
good.
boiling right now.
Now, I'm pretty sure you're having a hard time seeing this on the screen I got up, but from the HAPS.
On the big screen, I can see it, but...
Okay. So you can make out what's there because I can't see it on my end. Maybe it's just my camera, but I can't.
I can see it perfectly fine.
Okay, so cool. So I'm going to look at it I'm going to have Gabby keep up with the comment section because I'm going to be off screen because I cannot see this chart from inside the studio. I got to go to my web browser and see it. So it's probably just me. So, okay, this is my chart. The 4 planets, and maybe I'm going to let Gabby do more of the deep stuff, and I'll do like the surface level stuff because Gabby's more qualified to do the deep stuff than I am. So I'll allow her to do that. Maybe she can incorporate the other planets, but to me, when we're talking about relationships, which is the part of the astrology chart that Sweet Pea wanted us to focus on today, is when I think of relationships, I think of these planet combinations. I think of your Sun, Moon, Mercury, and your Venus. So maybe Gabby can tell me elsewhere how other ones influence. Like she told me about I think which one you said was the one, Gabs, that you said you want to focus on if you were talking about who you're having sex with. Is that the North Node?
It has to do with your Lilith.
Lilith, okay. Cool. So mine's in Cap. Yours is in like a water sign, right, Gabs?
Yeah, mine's in Pisces.
Pisces, okay. Interesting. My rising in Pisces, so that probably correlate us with each other. But
yeah, when you're dealing with relationships, it usually the ones that you're really looking for technically are you got some good ones picked out. So the moon for emotions is really good to kind of feel out where that is. Especially when you're dealing with somebody who may have more of a murky emotional setting. So you kind of figure out where that levels out and stuff like that.
AKA water signs.
Yes, water signs are interesting with their emotions. Especially if their emotions are in a water sign. Fires, they're a little bit more feisty.
Yep.
They're loud and proud about how they feel. So don't be taken aback by that. It's just them being very passionate. And
Venus, right?
Yeah, Venus is definitely how you love a person. So it's the mannerisms of how you show your love. Especially since yours is Leo, yours is going to be a little bit more upfront.
Yep.
But at the same time, you're a little bit like shy subconsciously when it comes to pushing it towards somebody.
Sure.
Because you want to make sure that they understand your intentions. Especially since you have an Aquarian moon. Emotionally, that's where that's popping out. What, sweet girl? Oh, you want the chair? Okay. Oh, okay. You sit over there. But yeah, you also want to look at, if you scroll down a little bit.
Sure.
You definitely want to look at their Pluto as well, because that's also where their fantasies lie as well.
Interesting.
So Pluto is your kind of no, like Pluto's kind of like that planet that kind of gets overlooked too. It kind of has this ability to kind of show you another side of that person's deep dark secrets, if you will. So like since yours is in Scorpio, you are showing them fantasizing wise, you want somebody who's going to ride or die with you.
Yeah.
You want somebody to be like 100% with you through everything, thick and thin, doesn't matter what you go through, as long as they're honest, loyal, and supportive. That's your 100% fantasy with a person.
What's your Pluto?
What? My Pluto?
Yeah.
You're lucky I charged my phone. I can find that out right now. I've been all over the place today. Okay, here we go. So, pop this bad boy up. Write all details. Come on, gorgeous. Okay, so my Pluto is also in Scorpio, so I'm kind of similar in that department as well.
Yeah. And isn't it, Gabs, certain planets stay in a certain area for a certain amount of years sometimes, right?
That's more towards like your Chiron. There are some like planets that do stay in for a certain period of time, but they're mostly like they're mostly just stars and asteroids that are really the ones who kind of like stay for longer periods. Like because we're always going through a cycle, regardless how long it looks like for most people. So like even though we all like each planet goes through a retrograde. So during those is where you'll see your strengths and your weaknesses during that time of that retrograde. Now, that doesn't usually like affect you too much if you're already like got some balance in that department of what's going on with yourself. So it doesn't really affect you as hard.
Okay.
But if you aren't healed, you're going to feel the effects of what's going on around the world. Because the energy is there. It's just it won't affect you as bad if you already have that part under control.
Sure. Okay. Interesting. So now we can dive into how. So we already got the Moon, Venus, and Pluto. Is there any other planets that you should focus on as far as developing a relationship?
I think you should look at Chiron when you're focusing on a relationship as well. You want to know where their wound stems from. Some people have a deep, dark secret about why they are the way they are. Having an idea of where that Chiron is can kind of help reflect what that might be for your relationship.
Now, what is Chiron on the chart? I don't think I got that on this one.
You probably won't have it on this chart particularly. I'm not sure because it started to blur out, so we can't really see it on this.
Let me refresh it. Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. No, you're fine. Boom. Okay, let me just
type
back in.
It looks like real.
Yeah, it did. That's just pixelation on Halfsin.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, somebody else was having that problem lately.
Eric's been really he was pressed by that for a while. He was complaining for a long time to Haps about fixing because he's an artist, so he wants people to see what he's doing. So he was talking to them quite a bit about that. So I think a lot of their updates has been heavily focused on that. Because prior to that, they were making kind of aesthetic type updates, little minor stuff. But Eric's been a trooper with a lot of that. Okay, it should be refreshed now. Can you see that still?
Yeah, I can see it now.
Okay. So now Chiron, I don't think because Chiron would it be under the planetary a row, or what would it be? Is it like a? Because I know they got some down here too.
Certain charts, depending on where they're at, if you have it in tropical, you may see it sometimes on certain charts. It just depends on what area they're choosing to get their information from. So, like, let's say, for example, let me see if I can try to change this up.
Oh, I found try further down the chart. It has like a triangle next to it, then it says triangle.
Yeah, trine. Yeah, trine. Trine with your Pluto. So the way you communicate is directly linked, almost like a balanced out link to your Pluto.
Okay.
So the way you communicate is how you express what you're desiring, your fantasy.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is the shape then? What does this shape have to do with anything?
With that particularly?
Yeah.
Okay, so I've actually been looking at trines lately, so I might have a little bit of information for you on that. Just a second. So trines. Okay. Yeah, trines. There we go. So trines are basically this beautiful connection where there's usually a third wheel that is involved with those two planetaries or two stars. It just depends on where or asteroid, it depends where everything's linked to. But it kind of shows that third wheel thing, but like it helps resolve any conflict because there is somebody else, like a middleman in between, like an invisible middleman in between what's going on between those two signs.
Okay.
So it kind of helps resolve any conflict that may occur because you've heard of like the power of three. In most cultures, there's like a reason why we have three things.
Yeah.
And so that in particular is kind of like resonating with that. It's just expressing that two halves can make a third.
I got you.
And that can help kind of flow everything together. It's supposed to help stimulate a flow of the self-expression as well as a acknowledgement of knowledge and awareness.
Okay.
That's what trine's for.
Trine, I got you. Now, what was the thing you said before? I thought you were saying trine. I thought you said trine, but you said Chiron, right? Is that what you said?
No, Chiron is CHIRON.
Okay, that might be on that app you was telling me that you told me.
Yes. You will see it if you have your underneath your settings. If you click on your name and you go to the little cog wheel in the corner, hit app settings, and it should pop up with houses and then which part of the zodiac that it's lingering to.
Okay.
You have it under the Pleiades. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Plicidus.
Okay.
Because there's many different houses that signs can kind of like be shown from. So on the time-based houses, we have Coach and we have Pleiades. Now, there are a couple other like space-related systems that are currently being used for most house transitions. And so they have whole sign, real sign, or sidereal, equal houses, Porphyros and Regionum Teneus and Campanus. Now, those ones are based on what's going on up in the sky. If you're wanting based more on time, which is what most of us go to for stuff like this, you're going to go to Pleiades.
Okay. So that's a factor in how you are in relationships and love. And do you know what your Chiron's in?
Yes, mine is in Leo.
Nice.
So I'm very loud and open about my pain.
Yeah, Okay.
And mostly mine is stemmed from, I'll show you. Mine is in the house. Come here, my love. Where are you at? Come to me. All right, yeah. I'm in the 9th house. So mine has to do with expansion. So dealing with change, long journeys, deepening higher knowledge. Like if I wasn't at the level of healing that I'm at now, it'd probably be a lot worse. Because when I was a child, this was a lot worse for me. Mm-hmm. Like it took a lot for me to get to where I am now.
Gotcha.
So
and 9th house is Sagittarius, right, Gabby?
It is corresponds with it, but it's not ruled by it.
I got you.
But it does have that vibe of a Sagittarian because you're like 100% pointed out of where you want to go, how long you want to be doing, deepening certain things and understanding culture, law, social order.
And the 9th house is it ruled by Jupiter?
I do believe so.
Because Jupiter is expansion. That represents expansion. Because Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. So.
Yes, I think it has correspondence with it. I have it in a book somewhere.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm just like, I saw you say something. I'm like, oh shit. So I'm like clicking on things. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so that's pretty much what you want to know specifically when you're looking for love in particularly, or trying to become one with a relationship or finding your soulmate. You always want to look at the parts that you know are going to be a little bit more vulnerable.
Okay. So let's come down a bit because it's a lot of people that don't understand any of this. And let's try to go from the base level of what we're saying. Okay. So we're going to gloss over briefly what the planets mean. So as Gabby just said about the moon, so it's your emotions, connections to your emotions. Is there anything else you want to add to that as far as moon, Gabby?
It also has to do with your subconscious, so your psyche. Mm-hmm. Because most of us, if you are empathic in any way, shape, or form, most of us are, we have the ability to feel other people's emotions as well as our own.
Sure.
And so when you are dealing with that, it's more of a subconscious feeling that you're having that may rise to the surface consciously.
Gotcha. And that's just empathic is generally associated with water and earth signs, right?
Usually, especially in tarot, you're going to see where cups is usually the suit that they use for emotions. Water is the element of emotional circumstances. Water signs tend to be the most vibrant of emotions. Mm-hmm. So, like, at least in the sense of like water works, understanding things at a deeper level. Not that other signs don't. It's just the fact that water is very in tune with it.
Right, exactly.
If that makes sense.
Just like anything that's action-based, based off fighting or anything like that. Let's take a planet like Mars, for example. Mm-hmm. Fire signs lead at Mars. They have a more advantage in like Mars than other signs do. Just because that's their general mode of operation is aggressive in action. So that's Mars. It's more accentuated in fire signs. Mars, like I'm a water sun sign, but my Mars is in Leo, which makes me that's a good placement for Cancer because it kind of gets me out of my shell a little bit, makes me a little more action driven. That's actually a really good placement for a water sign. Let's just say.
Yeah, it helps you keep you out in the open as well because that's how you drive. Like literally, you're driven with Mars.
Absolutely.
So if you have a goal or something that you're really pushing towards energetically for what you want in your life, Mars is a really good place to look at.
Yours is in Leo too, right, Gabs?
I do believe so. Yes, it is.
I remember you telling me that.
Yep, absolutely.
And for another, for example, then we're gonna get into the romantic stuff. Sun sign. Let's say you got a sun sign in like like Aries or Sagittarius. People who are known for being kind of like doing things and not thinking thoroughly or whatever. A Mercury and an Earth sign will be perfect for them. If you have a Sun fire sign or a Moon fire sign or a fire in Mars, if you have a Mercury and an Earth or water sign, it'll slow your decisions down. It'll make you think before you do stuff. So that's a good, for example, if you're an Aries sun and you have a Mercury and Taurus, that's a great placement because Taurus and Mercury slows down your thinking. It makes you think before you do stuff. And Aries are not they're not known for doing that. They think first, and Sagittarius too. They think first and act later. So Leos are more of a practical, thoughtful type fire sign. Like they still have the problems that fire sign, like they have the ego and they have the me, like the self-centeredness that fire signs are generally associated with, the me first mentality. But Leos are a little more, they are more grounded of the other two. They're less inclined to, not think before they do things. They still don't compared to like a Capricorn or something like that, but they're the more practical side of the fire signs or whatever. So let's start at the beginning of the chart, Gabby, and let's put a couple scenarios here. Let's say someone has an Aries sun, right?
Okay.
And they have a Venus in, let's say, let's start with two fire signs. Let's do Aries sun and an Aries Venus. Who are in their moon, let's say, is in like Leo or something like that. And what was another one? Their Pluto is in like Sagittarius. Who are some signs that you think that they will have tough times dating with those type of placements?
Probably ones with similar signs.
Okay, why is that?
So if they meet another Aries that has similar love language and similar soul connections with the sun, they're definitely going to clash a lot because they're not going to fully understand exactly why that person is pushing that particular love on them.
Right. Okay.
Even though they have a pinpoint accuracy on what their fantasy is and what they actually want, they will be very undiplomatic towards their advances from Pluto.
Okay.
What was the other planet you used?
I think it was Aries everywhere except pretty much the.
You said their moon was Leo.
Leo. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So if their moon is in Leo, they're also going to be very dramatic.
Yep.
Especially if they're an unbalanced Leo.
My mom, she's a Gemini with a Leo moon. Yeah.
So if they have a Leo moon and they're still dealing with healing, that's my best way of saying, like, they're just very immature, don't really understand exactly what's going on with their emotions. You're going to see that like unbalancement where they're going to be more, like, this is not what I wanted, blah, and they'll just like make a huge mess out of everything. Yep. Now, if they're a balanced Leo, they're going to be a little bit more graceful in their approach with how they feel, but they're going to be very like tight-lipped about it. It'll be a little bit more like somebody ready to leap on their prey.
Right. I got you. Okay. Now let's put modality in there because a lot of people, let's add modality to fire love. Let's say Aries is cardinal. We got mostly Aries in this person's chart, right? Because we're starting at the first sign, which is Aries. Aries is not only the first sign, they're a fire sign, cardinal sign. Because so things we have to understand, you have an element. Aries element is fire, and their modality is cardinal. So they're a fire sign that likes to lead. Why are they a fire sign that like to lead? Because cardinal is indicative of leading or starting projects. And the 4 cardinal signs, and we'll get to them all individually if we can today, if not another video. The 4 cardinal signs, because you have 4 elements under each modality. So the cardinal modality, the 4 elements that go under there are fire, Aries, Libra, air, Cancer, water, which is what I am, and then you have a fixed earth sign, which is Capricorn.
Yes.
Right, not fixed, but cardinal. Those are all the modalities, all the elements are under the cardinal sign. Cardinal means you like to lead and initiate projects. So that's something else that you have to keep in mind when you're discussing your lover, what's their modality and their element. Right now, we're talking about Aries, cardinal, with an element of fire. So that's something you have to keep in mind. They're very go with everything they do. So you have to be willing to keep up with them and they have a very childlike disposition because they're the first zodiac sign, which means they're the youngest and the most unevolved zodiac sign. So if they have a bunch of
Aries, to some extent, they're uninvolved though.
Say that again.
We have to give them a little bit more credit though, just because they're the beginning of the cycle. Doesn't mean that they don't have what it takes to move forward in certain things. It just means that their temperament is very immature.
I got you. That makes sense. And then thank you for adding clarity to that. That makes perfect sense. So you have to keep that in mind. Gabby's right. The one she just said is the most extreme example. Let's say you got another person with similar placements, Aries, Sagittarius, then they're trying to date. They're going to step on each other's toes a lot because they're looking at things the exact same way, but neither person is willing to compromise without, they got to be aware of one of us got to compromise. That's where the problem comes in.
Yeah.
You have to be aware of it. You know what I mean? But their natural instinct will probably be to not compromise. Now, the first ones I think of that they'll have issue with is water signs. They'll have a lot of issues with probably except Scorpio. Scorpio will give them a run for their money probably. But Cancers and Pisces will be a challenge for both of them because they naturally lead with emotions, especially if you have a lot of, let's say, Cancer placements like in your moon, your sun, your Venus, your Mercury, all these very important placements, and you're going against a fire sign with all fire planets and those exact planets I just said, they'll have to have water in their chart to understand a water sign. And the water will have to have fire. That will probably be the best compromise for those particular. Like I date a lot of fire signs, for example, because I have a lot of fire in my chart. I've dated a lot, specifically Sagittarius and Leos, because they give me a little more of the freedom that I like. But I've dated them. And people are like, how are you a Cancer dating a Leo or a Sagittarius? Because Cancers and Sagittarius are just on a generic, like superficial level, are diametrically opposed to each other. Cancers are somewhat clingy and hold on to tradition. Sagittarius are the complete opposite of that. Now you see when they run into each other where a problem comes in. They operate two completely different ways. Now they might be good friends or good colleagues or tolerate each other as coworkers, but sharing the same space could prove to be challenging. Just like Tauruses and Sagittarius generally, Gabby might get along with a lot because she has an air moon sign, and Gabby also has she has a Venus fire and a Mars fire. So she get along with more fire signs, and her Pluto is in a semi-fire / water with Scorpio. So she will get along. She's a very untypical Taurus. She still has the Taurus Mercury and the Sun, of course. So that'll make her Taurus in certain aspects of life, like motherhood, probably, or work. But hanging out socially or dating, fire signs might not be much of a challenge because Gabby has fire in those placements. Is that about right?
They don't look at me as a threat.
Sure, exactly.
I'm more of a confidant with the way that my chart's laid out.
Right. Whereas if Gabby had a lot of water or earth in her chart, she wouldn't get along with a lot of fire signs that have a lot of fire all over the place. But that's where things get a little more. That's why I tell people it's best that you understand fully the chart you're reading and the person you're dating, because a lot of people would be like, let's say, for example, a Virgo is dating a Pisces. They could, or they're married. Married is a better example. They marry each other better than they date because they usually tend to marry, or you do better after you lived your life and y'all got all y'all opposite tendencies out of y'all systems. Now, when you're married, you can complement what the other person can do. You kind of balance each other out with the polar opposites. So that's why they marry better than they date. So let's talk about how this can get complex. Let's say you have it don't matter what the sex is. It could be male or female, either one.
Yeah,
let's say you have a Pisces dating a Virgo. They supposed to date each other okay and marry better on paper. However, let's say the Pisces has a moon in like Leo. Well, let's say Aries. We already use Leo. Let's say the Pisces has a moon, which is an interesting place for a Pisces. It makes them definitely a lot more risky and step out of their box a little more when they have a moon in Aries. Because I have a good friend. She's a female. She's a Pisces Pisces sun, Aries moon, and Venus in Aries. So she gets along with fire signs well. So, the person you date is a Virgo with like either a water moon or another earth moon. Let's say you dating a Virgo with a Capricorn moon. It's going to be some problems in that relationship.
Yeah, a little bit. One's going to want to lead a little bit more like a manager would. More meticulous on how they want you to do certain things emotionally. And if you don't follow that decree in some sort of way, because Virgos are very picky.
Yeah, they are.
especially when it comes to things they actually care about.
Yeah.
Now they're really good family signs. Like they love their family unconditionally. They're humanitarian in that department. But it's because they've been born with it and they have chosen to continue to stick with it.
Right.
And so if you don't work well with their natural environment, that temperament will get a little bit twisted.
Yeah. Because I tend not to get along very well with Virgo because I'm very action-based and they're very meticulous. Not that I can't be too meticulous, but I don't see the necessary benefit of overly being bogged down in details. That doesn't do anything for me. I'm very action-driven. So Virgos, unless they have a lot of fire or air in their chart, I won't get along with them. I don't get along with Earth Virgos or Earth Water Virgos. That's a challenge for me, which is ironic because I'm a water sun sign. But I have air and fire in my chart, so that makes me a little more action and intellectually driven than most Virgos are willing to. I don't get along very well with them. But let's see, Gabs, did you want to put a combination together? You can use yourself as an example, or people you know as an example. You don't have to say their names, but like you can give somebody a chart.
I can give. I can give an example. Here we go.
Okay.
I have a friend who's pretty much Aries, like all the way down the line.
Mm-hmm.
He has Aries moon, Aries sun, Aries Venus, and he is driven with a Cancer. So his Mars is in Cancer. His Chiron is also in Leo. And his Lilith is in Libra.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And his Pluto is also in Scorpio. So he kind of already knows what he wants, ironically. He moves forward faster than people are willing to react. Because of all that Aries in that thing, he already is set in his ways enough where it's like, I know what I'm after. I'm not trying to be stubborn. It's just what it looks like. But like, I don't know how else to show it except to be a little bit more like pushy and forceful. Mm-hmm. And so that's with his emotions. That's with how he loves people. And essentially that's how he is as a person, with his sun sign. Now, if you add in the elements of him being, having Cancer in his Mars, the way he operates in the sense of how he drives towards things is he's going to be a little bit protective of what is inside. So the way he's more meticulous on how he pushes forward because he wants to mentally be prepared, since Cancers are very mental, the way that he pushes forward because he doesn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Right. He's very guarded in that way. He'll be sideways around that situation very much if it looks like it's going to be any form of disruption with the person that he cares about. Mm-hmm. And this includes his family, other friends that we currently are friends with. This is just how he is. Now, since he has a wound in Leo, and it happens to be, I believe, in the 8th house. So that has to deal with how he deals with sexuality, sex in general. Also dealing with death and occult certain situations. So anything dealing with like big groups that have one mind driven things, he is more meticulous on how he approaches those things because he doesn't want to be conforming. Okay. Especially since it's Leo, he's going to be more dramatic about how he feels about the situation on all the accounts. And that's the wound he currently carries. And so dealing with that has been a little bit more traumatic for him, but he has been healing that. So once he gets better at like incorporating that and not seeing it as a weakness and more as a strength, like a defense mechanism almost, like you know exactly what you're going to have to deal with. Now for his Lilith being where are you at, Lilith? Hello, Libra. Since his Lilith is in Libra, you're going to be seeing a little bit more of somebody who's a little bit more fair-minded about how their approach is with their sensuality. somebody who's going to be a little bit more diplomatic on how they approach subconsciously and consciously, depending on who they're involved with. Having an air sign in that department helps him out a lot with the fire that he has inside too, because it allows him to be a little bit more understanding from that perspective. He's not going to force somebody intentionally unless he's feeling unbalanced.
Gotcha.
So that's a really good indicator that he has an off switch. Like he'll know when to stop because he's like, okay, something's not right. Let me fix that. And that's kind of where that goes. But yeah, that's something to look into. So he has a Pluto. His Pluto is in the 11th house.
Okay.
I'm trying to find his Pluto in Scorpio. So the houses help out a lot when trying to navigate through your chart. In case you guys are wondering why I keep bringing up houses. Houses are basically an area where your sign is currently giving you strength, or it's giving you the ability to understand what might need to be given a little bit more encouragement, like core building.
Now let me ask you this, Gabby. Are your houses fixed? Are they always in the fixed place, or do they change based off the year?
Depending on the time that you were born, they can be in a sign that is more fixed. And then you have the house that kind of complements that. Kind of gives it a complimentary dish almost. Like, oh, that goes with this. And it's like having a steak dinner and knowing what kind of wine to bring in.
I got you. Okay, so let me just make sure I understand you. So let's say you were born in the 4th house, which is Cancer, or whatever. Like your house is in the 4th house, which is Cancer, is the 4th house.
Yes.
And you have a Capricorn sun. Cancers and Capricorns kind of complement each other, right? Because they're both cardinal signs, but opposite elements. So when they complement each other, one's water, one's earth. So is that what you mean by the complementary, or you meant something else?
Yeah, well, something similar to that. Yeah, like, so if you have somebody who has a Cancer sun and you have somebody who has a Capricorn sun, having those two people, they're really easily complementary of each other, only because one sign is more mental and the other sign is more of a meticulous leader.
Okay.
They're a go-getter.
But I mean in the sense of the house. Remember, like you said, the house. Let's say you're a Cancer.
If they have a house in the fourth house, if they have it in the 4th house, since Cancer, if their sun signs in Cancer with the 4th house, they're going to be more driven towards family.
Okay.
Because Cancers complement family attributes. Relationships in that category rooted in through family ties from childhood and vice versa. Now, if a Capricorn has it in the 4th house and their sun sign is a Capricorn, then theirs is going to be more towards, they want to be more of a lone wolf, but they're willing to work with others because of that house.
Okay.
They're willing to stem down from all they really like. Literally, when it comes to Capricorns, they literally just want to get the shit done and get it over with. They're really good leaders in the sense of like entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. They kind of can do things on their own, but they don't really need a team, but they can do it if they want to prove their goods are looking right, you know?
I got you. Yeah,
so if they have it in the 4th house, that's showing that they're willing to put down that side of themselves in order to help rise their family up to the occasion.
Okay.
So that's really actually a really good complementary with each other with a Cancer who's also very connected to family.
Right.
You have somebody who's more mentally prepared for family, and then you have somebody who's willing to take care of that situation in a deeper level.
Gotcha. Or for someone in your particular case, like you're a Taurus sun, let's say you had what's Scorpio? Is that 10th house or 9th house? Which one? I think Scorpio's 9th, if I'm not mistaken. Scorpio and Taurus just complement each other because they're opposite. They're polar opposites of each other. Mm-hmm. So it also can go south if not channeled properly. The opposites can be good or bad depending on how it's channeled. But because
it just depends on your intentions behind yourself.
Have you dated Scorpio as well?
I've dated one Scorpio.
Mm-hmm.
I get along better with Scorpios as friends.
Gotcha.
I'm not very good with them as a relationship in the sense of sensuality.
Right.
Because they're wanting more than I'm willing to give communicational wise.
Is that based off early on or in just a general mode of operation? What do you mean by that?
Okay, so with my sun sign being a Taurus and my communication and in Mercury being a Taurus as well, I am a little bit slow on the approach on how I move forward in things.
Gotcha.
Whether it be good for me or not, it's up for me to move forward. They can't push me to move forward.
Gotcha.
Which irritates them because they have such a drive. It's almost like a stalker drive. Because they feel like their energy is being used in a very, very productive way because they like how things are moving forward with that person. Mm-hmm. Especially if they're in a relationship. Scorpios are very loyal to the person that they've decided to commit to.
Right.
They're very romantic. They are very supportive. But as soon as you cross certain trigger boundaries with a Scorpio, they don't know how to look at you right. And sometimes they can come off very offensive. Almost very similar to an Aries when they feel like they're being provoked.
Right.
Tauruses are a little bit more slow on the approach. Like we tolerate more. Yeah. So we can get to a point where we're like, okay, now we're a little bit getting a little bit bitey. We're gonna probably want to like simmer that down on your end, and then we can come back in and we'll be able to have a conversation.
That's why when Tauruses finally decide that they attack you, it's very aggressive because you put them up to that point where they can't handle anything anymore. They're at that end, so that's why it's so.
We're like pressure cookers.
Exactly, like that's why when you get them there, it's similar to Cancers. Cancers are very similar. Like where a lot of people think we're very reckless with our emotions. No, we're just expressive with our emotions, which is why we tend to do well in fields where we can express ourselves. But it's not. Cancers they are a lot more meticulous than people give them credit for. Like we look at stuff from a lot of different angles. It just might not appear that way because we're showing our emotions on our sleeves, but we are a lot more.
It takes you guys a little bit longer to adapt to the change inside mentally.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we date Taurus as well. That's why Taurus can, because you guys get what we're, you know what I mean. You kind of get it. You get that you can keep up with the pace that we're going. That's why Taurus and Cancer date or whatever. But
what's up? What's fine.
Why is it loaded?
Okay, well that's so sweet. I'm glad you did that for him. Thank you. She wanted to let me know.
What's that?
She wanted to let me know.
Oh yeah, you gonna have a communicator on your end there.
Yeah, she's my Virgo moon.
Oh, she's a Virgo moon. Oh, that makes total sense. They want you to know everything and very meticulous. Yeah, that makes total sense. That's a good placement for a Pisces too. That's a really
honestly, I think that was like the best thing that could have happened to her.
It makes them more logical with their emotions. They're not as scattered with their emotions. That's a good placement. I was about to say, okay, another thing that people should understand about what you just said, Tauruses and Scorpios, they're both fixed signs. So that's why that can be very bad if not corralled properly, because neither one of them are going to back down unnecessarily.
Gabby might be on your house placement as well. It does depend on that as well.
That's true. Do you now let me bring me down a little bit. When you say what's your house placement? Is it each one for each planet? Like the moon has one, sun? Is it based on
every single sign that's in your chart has a house that it either rules or it resides in.
Do you know what your sun was? What's your sun one in?
Okay, currently when I was born, mine happens to be in the 6th house. So mine has to deal with responsibility, service, and caring for others. That's my core.
Yeah.
Virgo. Me as a communicator in my Aries, or my Aries, but my Mercury, and also in my sun sign. Yeah. So you're going to see that kind of reaction towards me personally. I take responsibility for what I say. I always have a credible understanding of where I'm pushing towards things. Like, I want to make sure I have it done correctly before I answer, so that I'm not like giving you false hope. I take responsibility for my mistakes.
Absolutely. And that's great. Mine, if I had to guess, I don't know the exact time I was born. And that's where it'll be challenges for that. Mine, if I had to guess, just based off the way I know I operate, mine is likely in a fire sign. Mine's probably in a fire sign because I'm very quick with a lot of things. Don't want too many details unnecessarily. Mine's probably in a fire sign.
Yeah, yours definitely sounds like it's more ruled by either a fire sign or an earth sign.
One or the other, yeah.
Yeah, because of the way the chart that you're showing off here, I can kind of see where a little bit. I don't know exactly what house meant placed because I don't know you that well yet.
Right.
But what I do see from just being a part of most of the shows that we have been on with each other, I do see emotionally when things get a little bit off course or off topic, you get a little bit irritable emotionally.
Sure.
But it's only because you want things you have all this stuff already prepared, and it makes you feel like it's wasted.
Right. That's exactly. You just explained me to a T, actually. Yeah. Yeah, you definitely explained me to. So one or the other. I'm leaning more towards fire. I think it's more towards fire because I'm very, very impatient with certain stuff.
It's probably in a house that is serving under fire.
Mm-hmm. So either 1, 5, or what's that? 10? 1, 5, or 10, one or the other. Because 1 is Aries, 5 is Leo, 10 is Sagittarius.
Yeah, so if it's under 5, it's going to be under creation and procreation, love, life, and romance kind of thing, creativity and playfulness, affairs of all kinds, children.
Yep.
If it's under the first house, it's going to be dealing with yourself, because that's what Aries kind of dominates. It kind of shows more of a self approach, not selfish, but it's more of like a survival mode. I will take care of myself.
Right.
Because I know that you're not going to be able to handle me. So it's the way that they approach life as well as their appearance. And honestly, that could be it, though. You could have it in the first house. I kind of feel like that would be more you.
Yeah.
When you said 10th house, was the other one?
Whichever one Sagittarius is. I thought it was 10. I could be a little off on it.
I think it might be 9, but I'm not sure. Hold on, let me double check.
Whichever one's expansion, that should be Sag.
Yeah, I think it's 9. Yeah,
9. Okay.
Yeah. So, if it is that one for you personally, because if it has to deal with expansion and your emotions is in more of a fire sign, then yeah, I could see that being the case.
Okay.
If it's more of a earth sign, like Capricorn, for example, which has a cardinal approach, so it's more of a foot first in the dealing of things, expansion wise, I can see where that would be more geared towards a little bit of irritation and conflict, because you have meticulously the list down of what you want done. And if somebody makes you scrap that, it has to be a very, very logical reason.
Yeah.
What am I doing? What happened?
Yeah, we're going to let Gabs get herself together. I hope everybody's learning something here.
I'll mute it. Hold on. I'll be back.
Okay. So, I hope everybody's learning something here. If you have any questions in the comment, I see we have 76 people here. So thank the 76 people that's here. You literally could have been anywhere else, and you're here with me. So air horns to everybody on that. Yes, indeed. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here. I hope you're enjoying something. What I could do quickly, because Gabby's more of the in-detail person with this, because she do this for a living, and I just read about it. I theorize. I'm kind of more of a pundit when it comes to that, and she's actually an expert. So what I can do here really quickly is rattle off, because I know some people are probably still scratching their heads like, what the heck are they talking about? Which is a very logical and understanding way to come about this. And we're probably going to do another 20 minutes. We're going to have to do another episode on this. We're probably going to have to do a couple more episodes on this. So this is a series we'll probably go going forward for a while now, until we get caught up on everything. So the next couple weeks, expect this. And I enjoy discussing it because it's helpful. And I hope y'all getting something out of it. But, excuse me. So I'm going to rattle down everything as far as like surface level, and Gabby can come in and fill in the dots because you have to know what you're looking at. So let me throw this chart back up here, and I'm going to take this down for a second so I can have myself on screen so y'all can see me as I'm explaining it. But let's put the chart back up. This is my chart. I'm not going to put my real name on here, but this is my chart. I put it as John Doe or whatever. So I don't know why they ain't popping up. Let's say you have a sun in, let's go to the second house, which is Gemini. Let's say you have a sun in Gemini, a moon in Gemini, and a Venus in like Leo, for example, which my Venus is in Leo. You have two air signs, so your personality, which is your sun sign, your general personality, and your moon, your feelings, how you feel about stuff, and your subconscious, how you feel about stuff, is also in Gemini. And your Venus is in a fire sign like Leo. No, let's scratch Leo. Let's say Aries. Let's say you got a Venus in Aries, because putting a Venus in Leo will contradict the point I'm trying to make, my first point. Gemini stereotypically are known for not committing or wanting to play the field. That's something a lot of people try to say, like an excitement. So if you're kind of routine-based, you're already turning them off. They don't like you. And then you got in Venus sign, which is how you love, in Aries, a very similar sign to Gemini, where they value independence, freedom, having a lot going on, switching from action to action. You're going to have problems dating people that are very stable. For example, Capricorns, Virgos, Scorpios, Taurus, Cancer. You're going to have trouble dating all those people with those particular placements, especially if their sign, their base sign that I just named, is in those three planets that I just said. The problem there lies, y'all both just operate from two completely different points of reference. One wants stability right away. The other one wants to play the field. That's a conflict of interest. However, let me name an example where Geminis will be able to date those signs I just said. Let's say you got a Gemini with a moon in, let's say, Scorpio, a very intense, very want to know what they're staying with people, their partners, and their Venus is in like Taurus. They will date Capricorns, well, Cancers, and Tauruses, maybe even Virgos. They will date people with earth and water placements well if they have those placements that I just said, despite their sun sign being in Gemini. That's why you cannot just stop at your sun sign. You can't say, oh, Gemini's on date Scorpios well based off their sun sign. That's not enough comparison. They can have points of connections elsewhere on their chart. For an example, let's say you have let's say you take a Cancer. A Cancer will be able to date a Gemini sun if Cancers have what? A lot of air in their chart or a lot of fire in their chart, as do I. So I will probably date, I haven't met a Gemini yet that I date well, but I'm sure there's some out there I do or whatever. I just haven't run into any that I date well. So I tend to date air and fire signs, specifically fire signs, really good. I date air signs. I date Libras well. I haven't met an Aquarius yet, but I probably would date an Aquarius pretty good too, because my moon's in Aquarius. My moon's in Aquarius and my Venus is in Leo. So those are two signs that get along with each other relatively well. Now, dating a Venus in Aquarius will be difficult because Venus and Aquarius are very, they don't love in a traditional way. And I prefer women that love traditionally. So they are more quirky and outside of the box, where you have to stimulate them with conversation and stimulate their soul first before you could date them. So the way I am now, with me being a little more evolved, I will be able to date. But the old me generally doesn't date Aquarius, Venus as well. But my moon's in Aquarius, which gives me a leg up. And also I'm a more evolved Cancer than I was years back. So these are things you need to keep in mind. Let's go on the opposite end of the spectrum, a sign that's also very conflictual with emotions and what they want, and that's Pisces. On a sun sign, Pisces suns are very conflictual. Pisces Venus are very conflictual. Pisces Mercury can be conflictual. However, if they have, let's say you have a Pisces sun with a Capricorn moon and a Venus in like Taurus, that's going to be a pretty stable Pisces to date because they have all earth practical placements where they need to be. Their emotions are intact with Capricorn. Their Venus is they're there to stay once they're there. So they will date, they will be more stable than most Pisces. Let's take a Pisces and give them a fire moon sign like an Aries, for example. Those are going to be very adventurous Pisces. They might get in too much trouble at times and have to check themselves. But those are Pisces that value adventure. So they will get along well with what? Other fire signs. So let's say you have a Pisces sun, Aries moon. They will probably be friends with a lot of like Sagittarius, Aquarius, Geminis. They get along well with them. I have a friend, I'm not going to say her name, but she has those placements. And she get along. She has a Pisces sun, moon in Aries, Venus in Aries. She get along with a lot of fire signs because they have a general mode of operation that complement each other. Even though she's a what? Water, not only water, she's a mutable water sign. Okay, so let's just slow down for a second. I know this is a lot of information, but that's when y'all ask questions. Ask questions, whatever you want. If I can't answer it, Gabby will. If Gabby can't answer, well, we're going to check the internet. And we'll tell you. We'll be able to give you some sources. But this is just something me and Gabby studied for a while. She studied obviously a hell of a lot longer than me. But I know enough about it to at least talk about it. And the three things you have to understand when you're talking about anybody or anything dating, it's three different ways anybody will come from a relationship, depending on their houses, as Gabby just said. And I don't put nearly as much emphasis on houses as I should, but it's three different things, or that it's three different modes of operations, which is why you'll have three different lovers. And I'm gonna take this down just for a second because I could talk about this off the top of my head. And welcome, I see we got 4 additional people that just joined us. The three modalities are as follows: cardinal, mutable, and fixed. We already talked about cardinal. Now we can move on to fixed. What now? Since we're talking about Pisces, let's say mutable. We'll say fixed for less. Let's say you're dating a Pisces, Virgo, Sagittarius, or a Gemini. They are generally the hardest 4 signs to date for the simple fact they don't prioritize relationships as much as the other 2 modalities do, which is cardinal and fixed. Fixed are the hardest people to get out of a relationship, even if it's starting to go bad, if they have a lot of placements and fixed signs and a lot of houses in fixed signs. And I'll get into fixed signs last, but we're talking about mutable signs now. Pisces are the most, them and Geminis are probably the most changeable signs based on, no, I take that back. Gemini and Sagittarius. Pisces will be third to last and Virgos will be the first. They're the ones that are most stable because Virgos are earth signs. So Pisces will be the second probably to commit to a relationship. A Sagittarius will be probably last, and then a Gemini third to last. So let's say you're a Pisces, right? And you have a Pisces moon and a Pisces Venus. That's going to be a very challenging person to date because they value imagination, art, a long time, and dreaming more than practical activities. It's not that they're incapable of being practical. They just value those things other than if they have a lot of Pisces placements. So they won't date fixed signs like not only fixed signs, people that are very demanding very well. They won't date Leos well. They won't date Aries well. They won't date, I'm trying to think of another one. They won't date Geminis well. They probably won't date Aquarius well. Anybody that's very demanding of too much alone time or trying to get them outside of their comfort zone, they probably won't date them too well because they function 2 different ways. An Aries and a Pisces, for example, just have 2 different ways that they do things. It'd be tougher for them to date unless an Aries have a lot of Pisces placement. So if you have an Aries with a moon in Pisces, a Venus in Pisces, a Pluto in Pisces, some along those lines, they will date Pisces fine if the Pisces have enough fire to keep them kind of interested. At least, let's say a moon and a Venus and Aries would definitely help if they have those type of placements. So these are things that you have to keep in mind. And let me just put this in the thing so y'all can have a reference point later. But astrology, Astro Cafe, this is a free source that you can use to check you, anybody in your family, or any of your loved ones' birth chart. Another one is Astrology Guide. That one's a little better because it gives you your rising. On this, the one I got right here, doesn't give you your rising. So if you want your rising, you want to go to the astrology guy. He's another free source. And these sources I'm giving y'all are free. That's why I'm giving to y'all, because some people would charge you for it, and which is fine, but I'm not going to give y'all the charge ones. Just so you can get a basic understanding of your chart. I just gave y'all 2 resources in the comments section. And another one, Gabby gave me this app. This app is called, and I'm opening it up as we speak. This app is called, hold on. Let me hold it. This app is called, holy crap, what is the app called? If she come back on here, she'll be able to tell me. So y'all can download, you go to your Apple store and download it for anybody that's interested in this particular thing. The app is called, because it's not telling me what it is on my screen. I just see the logo, and I'm having a hard time getting back to the home screen because I was in the middle. Time Nomad. I'm sorry, that's what the app's called. The app's called Time Nomad. So download app. That's the most in depth way to find out your chart and different planetary movements. Like when people say it's a new moon, they'll talk about all that type of stuff on it. So download Time Nomad in your phone or desktop app store. If it's on the desktop, I would imagine that it is. So that's how you can figure it out. Does anybody, because we're only going to go for probably another 10 minutes. Would Gabby come on? I'm going to tell her we can do another episode on this next week. But because I got to get ready for my wrestling show. But does anybody, before we leave in a second, have a question about any of this stuff that we discussed tonight? Or do you have any questions as far as, oh, I'm this and I date this person with this and we don't get along, or we do get along, or advice for a person, I date this person, but I date that person. Any type of advice that you will have for that. And I'm trying to think of another. Let's move down. We did Cancer enough. Let's skip Cancer because I talked about Cancer enough. We talked about what comes after Cancer. Let's go to Leo. Leo. What are Leos known for? Leos are, remember we talked about the mutable signs, which mutable, in other words, mean you like change, you value change and freedom a lot more than other signs do. Mutable means mutation, which means you're willing to change, you're willing to go with the flow more. And I told you those 4 signs: Virgo, Pisces, Sagittarius, Gemini. So they're a little more adventurous with their relationships. They like change, they value change. They are not too crazy about routine unless they have fixed or certain earth placements in their chart. And we'll get into that a little more later with a little more detail. Now let's get to the last modality. We covered cardinal signs when we started earlier. We just did mutable signs. Now the last group of signs, because they're broken to, it's 3 groups of 4. That's what the modalities are. These 3 groups of 4 function differently based off their modality. We did cardinal and mutable. Now let's do fixed. Fixed signs are what? Exactly what they sound like. It's harder for them to change their mind if they already figured their mind out about something. They're known for being what? Stubborn. And they get worse depending on what element you are. The 4 fixed signs are Taurus, Scorpio, Aquarius, and Leo. They're the most stubborn signs. Why? Because their modality is to do what? Stick to their guns unless you have a hell of a good reason why they shouldn't. Tauruses, which is what Gabby is, are the least likely to change their mind about something because they're what? A fixed earth sign. That's like trying to break a rock. It's not very easy to do. You got to put some effort into breaking them. So in this particular case, we're talking about the fixed sign of the element fire. 1 second. I just got a very important text about dinner. Hold on. Okay, so Leo, which is, I have a lot of places. My Mars is in Leo, which is great for my entrepreneurial endeavors because it makes me go after things. The action, fire signs are action driven. My Venus is in Leo, which makes me love hard and expect a lot. My Jupiter is in Leo, which is how you conceptualize adventure, luck, expanding yourself, learning about life. Mine's in Leo, which means I could be susceptible to gambling if I don't check it. I do like to gamble, but I'm very meticulous how I gamble. I'm very, maybe at young in life I wasn't. I took unnecessary risks. And then as Gabby just said, also my passion and about what I like out of love. Mine is in Scorpio, which a lot of people that were born between like 1988 and 1992, I believe, your Pluto is likely in Scorpio. So, and then that's another thing you'll learn about reading your charts. You'll find out certain planets stayed in certain areas for long, like Saturn, for example. And Saturn is how how you're disciplined, how ambitious you are, things like that. That's what your Saturn entails. But with Leo, let's say you're a Leo sun with a Venus in Leo and a Mercury in Leo. You are a very, very probably opinionated and self-motivated person. So you're not going to tolerate people who don't value you. And you're not going to tolerate people who don't give you credit for things, that don't show you attention. That's what Leos are known for. They like attention. They like to be the center of attention. They're very affectionate, warm, and self-creative. They're also, on the flip side, very sensitive to criticism. So if you're one of those people that are foolish enough to criticize them unnecessarily, you will feel the wrath of the lion. I guarantee you. That's why when I get upset, you see me the way I am up on you, because my Mars and Venus is in Leo. So I expect a certain level of respect. But also on the same time, I'm willing to give that. So they tend to get along with what? Fire and air signs, specifically Aries, Gemini, and probably Aquarius. Sagittarius and Libras will be a bit of a challenge because they have more of a social, I want to get along with everybody versus just putting all my attention on you. That's their disposition. That will irk a Leo. Leos are they want their partner to hang with them and the people they like. They're social too, if it's usually some type of benefit for them, or if they can go out and show themselves or have a good time. Leos are generally like that, unless they have like moons and like Libra, or moon and like a air sign, like a Gemini or something a little more social. If they got moons in signs like that, they'll be a lot more flexible than the average Leo. Or if they have a Venus sign and like a water sign, or a Mercury and a water sign, they'll be a lot more compassionate. It depends on the planets. But that's why, to not confuse y'all on this first episode, I'm trying to stick with multiple planets from a particular sign so you can see how you will be, who you would generally get along with, and who you wouldn't get along with before I start mixing and matching all these planets. The reason I don't want to do that is because I want you to thoroughly understand your individual sign first before I start mixing and matching this and that. But also I had to explain to you modalities, which is cardinal, fixed, and mutable. So you can know your general mode of operation and your element. Now let's do a rapid fire round for the last few minutes, because we're going to end this episode and we'll do a part 2 to this next week where we'll start going into more detail about other stuff. But we just want to gloss over everything to give you a general understanding of what we're doing tonight. But let me give you a rapid fire. Now let me put everything in categories. Let's do all the fire signs to start off. As far as elements, we'll do all fire signs. The 3 different fire signs all love differently based off their modality. So for example, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius are all fire signs. They all love 3 different ways. Why? They have 3 different modalities. And Aries is a cardinal fire sign. They're very action driven. So you have to be able to be willing to keep up with them and follow them, because they're leaders. They like to lead. So you have to be willing to follow them, generally speaking. That's why they date like Libras, because Libras don't mind what? Not that Libras are weak people, because they definitely aren't. But Libras don't mind doing what? They don't mind compromising with people. They don't mind being diplomatic. And keep in mind, we're talking about a person with multiple Libra placements in their chart. And not only multiple Libra, but in important spots like in their moon, their Venus, their Mercury, stuff like that. Those placements, very important placements. Let's even say Pluto. Those placements of Libra, they're willing to be cooperative, because that's the Libra's general mode of operation, is to cooperate and compromise with people. It's not a problem with Libras. Sagittarius are somewhat similar to Aries, but they're not as demanding as Aries. Sagittarius, all they demand for you to do is to respect their boundaries. That's what Sagittarius are known for. Sagittarius, so they love if you give me my freedom, I'll return it and give you freedom. But on the flip side, they're not very committal. They don't like to be locked down. It takes them time. They like to experience life and grow and be around other people. So a quick turnoff with dating a Sagittarius is to demand too much of their time. That's a quick way to turn them off because they value freedom over everything else. Last but not least, as far as the fire sign categories is in their modality is different, is Leo, which we just talked about. Leo is a fixed sign, which means what? They expect people to be loyal to them. Not only that, you have to give them a lot of attention, a lot of compliments, and make sure that you have to give them your confidence that you're not doing anything behind their backs. So that's the 3 different modalities. The next set is earth signs, who we didn't talk about nearly enough today, and air signs. We haven't talked enough about air signs, but the 3 earth signs, and they all have different modes of operations because they have 3 different modalities. Capricorn, Virgo, Taurus, they're all different 3 modalities. We'll start from the reverse this time. Let's start with Taurus, which is what Gabby is. Taurus, or sun sign at least. Gabby or Tauruses are fixed earth signs, which means they move the slowest, but they're the most loyal once they made their mind up about something. Because they're earth, that's their mode of operation. They're an earth sign that's fixed. That's like a rock. A rock does not change form without concerted effort being put into them changing form. So think of Taurus as like earth or ground or say anything that's solid. That's what they are.
Kind of like a diamond in the rough.
Exactly. That's exactly what they are. They also don't fold to pressure very easily. And they also, most importantly, don't give up on relationships, even sometimes when they should. This might be a little different with Gabby because Gabby has a what? Her Venus is in a fire sign. So she's a little quicker to make decisions and she's a little more open for action than most Taurus are. And her Mars is in the fire sign Leo. So she's a little different. Keep in mind, we're talking about, because it's the first episode, we're going to have to do multiple episodes, okay, because there's so much to cover. So we'll probably do this over the next couple of weeks. And we're trying to keep it simple tonight, and we're not trying to space out where, well, Gabby got fired here and there because I don't want to confuse y'all too much on this first episode, because this is kind of a beginner's course, like a Reader's Digest. So we'll go more in details as we go along over the next couple of weeks. But
yeah, we can definitely work on that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd be over there sipping on some cocoa or tea or something like that.
Coffee.
Oh, coffee. Okay. Gotcha. I have my coffee to get me going every morning. So a good roast, I'd be like, that and a cigar. It really literally wakes me up. I'll do my cigar and my coffee. But
I'm at that point right now.
I would imagine it's been one of those days with all them screaming that I heard everything I need to hear just with the screaming in the house.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, he woke up from a late nap. And so he was expecting dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently my very fully Capricorn Pisces husband has a migraine.
Oh
so
my God.
As a Capricorn, you're going to see a lot of that from a Pisces perspective. You're going to see them try to mask how they feel, but they're not really good at it because the Capricorn part's showing off.
Yep.
Like, I'm being lazy right now and I'm not going to move because if you try to make me move, you're not going to see the best of my efforts right now.
Gotcha.
And so you have to like understand that from a Capricorn perspective, as well as from a Pisces perspective. They're not going to tell you exactly what's going on.
Absolutely.
So
that's interesting. Yeah. So so the earth signs, or we could use what Gabby just said for the example with her and her husband, but she told me he has quite a bit, correct me if I'm wrong, he has quite a bit of Capricorn in his chart, right?
Oh yeah, like 9.
9 play. Okay, so thank God Gabby is an earth sign and she's a fixed earth sign, because that helps a lot with dating a Pisces. He's a Pisces sun. Keep that in mind. He's a Pisces sun.
Here, I'll read his chart out to you. I don't think he'll mind at all, actually. Sure. There you go. I'll give you guys a perspective in my world of being mostly like the way I operate is very Taurian, but I have a lot of air in my chart. And so that kind of helps kind of keep everything floating by. I'm not really 100% stuck to my ways, especially with adding a little bit of fire and water just to kind of balance everything out. But my husband, on the other hand, Lord bless him, he has, here we go. Let's get all the way in here. Yeah, so he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 technically in Capricorn. And then he has, his Mercury is in Aquarius.
Ooh, that's an interesting.
Yeah.
That's a strange combination with a Pisces. That's a quite interesting. And yours has been Taurus, so that could be a bit of a challenge sometimes. Yeah, I would imagine.
It can and it can't. It just depends. Like sometimes we just like miss each other. Like almost like somebody tells you like a very sarcastic joke, it literally will drive by on my end.
Mm-hmm.
But for him, he like, oh, I caught that. Gotcha. And you're just like, the details weren't there big enough for me to be like, okay, that's exactly what I'm looking for. But for him, it's like, oh, I get it exactly. Da 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 da. And
Aquarius are very quirky, so they can pick up on. Yes. They have a different sense of humor than other people. So that but you know what? They also are practical. They like to dance the beat of their own drum, but they're not. They're also very intelligent too. It's a strange combination that you think wouldn't work, but it does. You know what I mean? Like they're weird and you think they're frivolous, but they're very, very intellectual or whatever. It's been studies the most just off a base level of intelligence. Aquarius are the most intelligent zodiac signs. Scorpio are the most intelligently, which I'm really happy that I got my moons in Aquarius. But excuse me.
Oh, you're
good. And Scorpios are the most emotionally intelligent. But everybody have their own type of intelligence. But just those, the most of the researchers' data, they came to that conclusion that overall intelligence goes to Aquarius. Virgos will probably be a close second. And then as far as emotional understanding situations and people, that goes to Scorpio. Scorpio, that's why they're known for being very manipulative and very hard to get stuff over their head because they're already thinking 10 steps ahead of you already. That's why it's hard to. Scorpios can make a hell of a challenger if you make them that way. But
similar to Capricorns as well.
Yes, very much so. Very much so. Except one tends to be pettier than the other. Scorpios tend to be their general base root tends to be pettiness, whereas Capricorns is more of a I'm gonna show you that I'm what you thought I wasn't. You know, theirs come.
Yeah, they're more upfront about it.
Yeah, like Scorpios are kind of
like,
under the.
I'll be a little bit like ding, sting you here and ding, sting you on the other side.
Mm-hmm. They're very like weird about it. Like they'll be kind of clandestine about it. Capricorn's going to tell you what they're going to do to you and then do it. You know what I mean? Generally speaking, like they're like that's why I view them and Aries very similar. Aries are just the fire sign version of Capricorn because they're out front. You know what I mean? They just don't think and slow down and think as much, but they're very, very. That's why they generally can get along with each other. When one of those signs like you, they get along once fine. That's why because they operate from a general similar mode, just two different ways. That's all. Just like Leos oddly get along with Tauruses very well. Or because they generally operate from the same frame of reference. But yeah, Gab, that's very interesting. But also, Gab, his Mercury in Aquarius, you get it a little bit, the airiness, a tad bit, because you have an air moon sign. Your moon's in Libra. So that
but also my personality is an Aquarian.
Say that again.
So my personality, so your Anun Kuli, it's the IC in your chart. You're going to see that's actually your personality that you push out when you're comfortable with people.
Gotcha. I see. And I got to find that on my chart somewhere. Okay, I have to dig deep to find out. I don't see that.
No, it's okay. But his subconscious one is also like, so there's two parts of yourself that kind of makes up your personality, even though you have all these other beautiful aspects of yourself. Mm-hmm. So this is another thing when you're looking for love. Okay, you want somebody who has the ability to kind of bounce off your personality. So for when it comes to when you're looking at their chart, you want to look for the IC, which is your Amun Kuli, and their midheaven. Those two usually they work together as kind of like a conscious and a subconscious of their personality. Now, if they're not comfortable with you, you're going to see more of the midheaven side, which his happens to be an Aquarius. So when he's not comfortable, he acts very quirky, all over the place. Even though he communicates that way, it just kind of happens to be. Yeah. So see, since yours is midheavens in Sagittarius, Rochelle. Mm-hmm. Is that how you spell it? Say it.
Yeah, Rochelle. Yeah.
You're going to be more upfront with it. You're going to be more like not willing to compromise on how you want things done. With your personality. Mm-hmm. You just come off that way. It doesn't mean that you meticulously want them to do with that part of yourself. It's just when you're feeling very uncomfortable, you're going to put that shield up very quickly with your personality.
I appreciate the more out frontness. Like, I like that actually. Sagittarius is something I would like. I appreciate more people that are out front than versus wasting my time. But Gabs, how do we find that on the chart? Is that North Node? Which one is that one on the chart?
Okay, so you're gonna see an MC, which MC is your midheaven.
Okay.
And an IC is your Amun Kuli. IMUMCOELI. Sorry, that was my son.
Because I don't know how to pronounce nothing you just said. I'm glad you spelled it out because you just said a.
Yeah, no. Midheaven's pretty easy to pronounce. They just have it as MC, which doesn't really make any sense. It doesn't match up with what it actually is
it's like
pronounced.
some Latin stuff or something like that. Yeah.
So that's how, like, this is the cool thing about your chart. You're going to see many levels of yourself as you progressively find out more things about you. Mm-hmm. That's why I love having a birth chart kind of like understanding, is because as soon as you see yourself, there's no way you can hide from it anymore. It's upfront, it's in person, it's like personal. It's just like, okay, shit, I've been exposed, but it's a good exposure. I know now exactly what needs to be looked at, how things need to be reacted. I love you, but you know better. Don't tease me like that. That's not okay. What? What is it?
Is my fact sheet about?
Okay, well, dinosaur fact sheet, not right now. We can do that in a minute, okay? Mommy is getting finished right here, okay? Go back to go helping Ronan. No.
What is that sound part?
What sound part? This part?
Yeah.
That's the microphone. It's showing how loud you guys are.
Hello, this is Bunty.
Yeah, they can hear you loud and clear. All right.
Well, Cheryl just gave you a placements, Gab. You want to give a really brief assessment about a really quick personality report on that?
Yes. So subconsciously is the is kind of how you are with people that you're comfortable with. Mm-hmm. So that's the IC. That's the Amun Kuli. So mine happens to be in Aquarius. So you're gonna see a more quirky, fun, outgoing person, carefree, doesn't give a fuck.
Right.
Especially when you feel comfortable. Now, when my midheaven happens to be, let me find it for you guys, in Leo. So when I'm not comfortable, I'm very dramatic, outspoken, bold, right up in front. I look like a leader, but I really am not. I'm the most immature leader you possibly could ask for.
Now, just for clarity, Gab, let me ask you this. So your IC and your MC are polar opposites of each other, just like the North Node and South Node, right? They're
very similar. Yes, they both complement each other. Gotcha. One happens to be your subconscious, and one happens to be your conscious. Your North Node is your conscious, the way you present yourself in front of people, and subconscious happens to be what's internally happening in front of you. Now, with hers, so Rochelle's over here. Hers, she has a Pisces sun, Capricorn moon, and also her rising is in Capricorn. Okay, so you're going to come off as a leader. You're going to come off as somebody who's definitely a really good supervisor, somebody who is willing to take all kinds of action just to make yourself look like you are presentable for the next position up. And this goes with your emotions as well. You always look put together until you feel unbalanced. Then you look like a hot mess. It's an Aquarius.
Yeah, so it's an Aquarius.
Sorry, I saw the moon said my rising. Oh, okay, sorry. I was not reading your sentence correctly. My bad. That is totally my bad. Sorry. I'm like using a different computer today too. So this is why it looks a lot clearer this time. So here we go. Let me read this again for you. Okay. So your Pisces sun, which is awesome. You are definitely a very sassy, outgoing, bubbly person. But as soon as you feel a switch, you usually put a mask on. You still look like you're happy, but at the same time, you're not. If people don't know you, especially with your Capricorn moon, they're not gonna really get any leeway into that environment.
Isn't that your husband's placements too? Cap, Moon, Sun, Pisces. Okay,
he has a Pisces Sun, a Capricorn Moon, a Capricorn Mars, and Venus as well. Yeah, that's similar to my husband's as well. Damn, you good.
True, Sean, are you a Pisces? Always, you got a Pisces energy. Always True Armor, or AKA Sean. I call him Sean.
Okay, gotcha.
He has a very Pisces energy because he plays music all the time. So I just take that with Pisces. You're not True. What are you?
You might have Aquarian. You might be an Aquarian.
Or that too. They're so close. Yeah, I agree with you. It could be one or the other. When's your birthday, Sean? I don't play. You do 20 minutes of guitar every day. What are you talking about? You don't play music? What do you call that?
You're rising. You look very outgoing, Rochelle. You look like a very fun, loving, awesome person. Especially the way you love people too. You're gonna look. Yeah. Aha!
See, that guessed it. Yep, there you
Got him. All right.
Yeah, that would have been my second guess. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Rochelle, you're gonna be more of a very outgoing person in front of everybody. That's what your rising is showing, or your ascendant. If anybody doesn't know what rising is, that's an ascendant. Mm-hmm. Your sun sign, they're gonna start seeing you more as your sun sign as you get more comfortable. And then when you get deeper into like a relationship with somebody, they're gonna see your descendant. Now, your descendant is your subconscious of your soul, which is your sun. So it's the other layer of your sun sign. You notice how, like, in most mythologies, you see a very interesting triad of things. It's very similar in your birth chart, as well as in astrology. You're going to see many layers of how you operate. This goes with every single piece in your chart. The only thing that doesn't really change much, that you don't really see a conscious and subconscious, is going to be your Mercury. Sorry about that, guys. Hold on. There we go. Your Mercury, your Venus, your Mars, your Jupiter, your Saturn, your Neptune, and your Uranus, and your Pluto. Those particular core planets, you're not going to see a subconscious reaction, but they all counterbalance with each other, just the way they operate, depending if they're dealing with a conjunction, a trine, a sextile, I think is how you pronounce it. I'm partially dyslexic, so bear with me. There's a couple of those things as well that kind of put everything into perspective. Okay, awesome. You are
Pluto
really
and Libra is
proud of me. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, Pluto and Libra is interesting. I know a couple of those.
Yeah, Pluto and Libra is great, though, because it means they're very balanced on what they fantasize about.
Absolutely, yeah.
They know exactly diplomatically what they want.
Mm-hmm. It don't go too far. I got you. I agree with you. Yep.
If it doesn't look like it will balance out the way that it's proportionally supposed to be, then they will literally lean out of that direction. If they're an unbalanced fantasy, like they're still dealing with a wound that corresponds with that, then you're going to see a very either eccentric person or a very manic person.
Woo! I'd rather have eccentric than manic.
It depends on the layer of healing that they've gone through.
Yeah.
If they found the weakness that happens to be there, and they're able to strengthen it a lot better so that they can be a mature version of that structure, then you're going to see that. A rising is an ascendant in your chart. True Armor or Sean?
ASC, yeah.
You're going to see that's what you look like consciously, so in front of people. People that you don't really know, acquaintances. When you're feeling very vulnerable, you're going to put that layer up so that you don't look a certain type of way for people that you don't feel comfortable with.
Mine is in Pisces, for example, Sean. I'm very wary, which is a good rising to have, because people appear, they assume that you're weak but you know how to blend in a lot of situations. It's actually like a very spy type placement to have. Like you blend in well, so you'll play a really good spy if you really wanted to. If I want to be a spy, I can. I generally don't operate that way because I just don't care to. But mine's in Pisces, which people associate with weakness because they associate Pisces with weakness. But no, actually, a Pisces ascendant is actually a really good place based off what I read. I didn't know it until I started. I thought it was a weakness too until I started doing research on it. But it's a good way to, they blend in socially well. They make people comfortable and things. I just use mine to be righteous. My Pisces, right? Because I'm evolved now. So I'm in the process of evolution. But I use
really changed a lot. Yeah.
And people probably can tell the way I broadcast, I'm very Pisces-like because I accept pretty much everybody until you give me a reason not to. Anybody that know me probably can tell you that. But,
yeah, you can tell with the certain people that you allow in their comfortability for you, so you're able to show your true sun sign. And if you know them a little bit deeper, then you show that subconscious part ironically in front of everybody. You don't really notice it unless you've started to kind of understand you as a person.
Sure.
But you start to see that mask doesn't have to be there as often as you would. And now if you feel uncomfortable with a question or the way things are turning, you can see the mask pop up really quickly.
Yeah, people be like, what you just asked me? Like type thing. You know what I mean? Like what? Yeah. Or back off type energy.
Yep.
Yeah. What's yours, Gabs? What's your rising again?
My rising is a Scorpio.
Scorpio, right. Oh yeah, it is. Does in your thing. That's a fierce rising to have too. That's a not to be fucked with type rising.
So you get what you get. You know exactly what you're getting when you.
Yeah, right. You'll wear it on your face, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yep. I am an open book in my facial expressions.
Pisces rising with a Sun Taurus is a fierce business negotiator when it comes to business, and they're the type of people. And this is a sick way to put it. If you were torturing them, you probably wouldn't get no information from them.
Now my descendant is a Taurus.
Yeah, because it's the opposite.
So you see where the Taurus part kind of like extra, like that's why it takes me longer for people to kind of understand that it's not that I don't want to move forward fast. It's just I want things done correctly.
Gotcha. Mine's in Virgo, so mine will be similar to that. My descendant is in Virgo, yeah. So it'll be similar.
So when they finally get to know you, then they notice that you're very particular.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you don't want to fuck with that because normally you're on point consciously about what needs to happen with that particular thing. So,
yeah. And Aquarius opposite is Leo. So Rochelle, your descendant will be in Leo.
Okay, Sean, the reason why, if you are an Aquarius, odds are you have a rising, an ascendant that is going to kind of either be an opposite or of your sign or something that kind of flows very strongly with how it honestly just depends on your timing though. I can't really give you like a firm understanding on that, but if you are a certain sign, that doesn't mean that you're not that sign. The rising is just a defense mechanism.
Right.
It's for like that first acquaintance moment when you're talking to somebody. Now, if you have the same rising as your sun, which is very rare, you're going to be able to show your true self twice.
Right.
You're not really putting anything up on the rails or anything. People already know they're going to get what they get.
Right. It's pretty out front with who you are. You know what I mean? Now, you will have times like, for example, my two signs, which can get very intense, my rising and sun sign, my sun is your sun sign, Sean, is what you know you are. You're an Aquarius. That's your birthday. Where the sun was when you were born, that's your sun. That's what everybody knows. Everybody knows it because everybody knows their birthday. So you will have times where your rising and your sun sign, which my sun is a Cancer, that's my birthday, and my rising's in Pisces. You will get situations where they're in the same element, which can be challenging for me because it's very emotional. I got to know how to balance it out. Luckily for me, my moon's in Aquarius, which keeps my emotions very logical. So luckily I have a moon in Aquarius. So you'll have times where you have the same element where you'll have similarities because Cancers and Pisces speak the same language, despite them being two different modalities, which means they operate differently, but they're the same. They're both emotional. They just express it two different ways. So you will have that sometimes. Like I have the same element for my sun sign and my rising, which works hand in hand with each other.
Which with Cancer and Pisces both being very passionate signs, on top of them being emotion signs, you're going to see a layer of like passion towards what he moves towards.
Which everybody that know me, if they heard any of my shows, can see that very quickly with me. Yeah.
You get what you get. Unless he doesn't feel comfortable with you, he's going to put that shield up.
Right.
And even though a Cancer technically has a layer of protection towards those things, he has a second layer of protection on top of how he emotionally approaches things.
Which I can tell y'all for certainty, has helped me survive some of the most adverse situations just based off that. Yep.
Yeah, that's a pretty, like, the first things you really want to know to get to know yourself before you start meeting other people is your first three things that you want to learn about yourself is your sun, your moon, and your rising. Yep. That way you know your emotional temperament, you know how you look in front of people, which is your rising, and then your sun sign is basically just you acknowledging who you are on the inside.
Now, to what Rochelle just said, I'm going to take a moon out the situation for a second, which it does balance throughout being a Pisces. That's actually, a Capricorn moon is a great placement for a Pisces. It helps you compartmentalize your emotions. But as far as what the three elements that Gabby just said, with the sun, the rising, and what was the last one you said, Gabby?
Sun, moon, and rising.
Moon, rising. Okay, so you have great placements with your moon being in Cap and your rising, Rochelle, being in Aquarius, because those are two logical signs where it'll keep your emotions in check and put up the proper. Pisces can be, I don't want to say the word gullible, but they're nice to people in a sense where people will try to take their niceness for a weakness, and that both of those two planets kick in. Well, your common sense will be like, nope, that ain't gonna happen. You know what I mean? Like that, it helps you. Your common sense is more obvious in a situation like that. Yeah. What's up, P? It's okay. Once you told me you're a late nighter, I already knew what was going on, P. I know you come in between like 7 and 9. I'm already knowing based off talking to you a few times and things like that. You're all good. You can watch the replay, and me and Gabby already decided that this will be a weekly series for a while because it's so much to cover. We can't do this in 1 or 2 episodes. It's way too much. I just learned some stuff tonight just from Gabby that I didn't consider that I need to find out about myself now. Or whatever. Yeah, that's good. You're very aware that now we have with Sweet Pea, we have a Cancer sun and P's a Pisces moon. So she got a lot of duality. I think she said her rise is a Capricorn. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, P. I think, because I'm going off my memory, I think that's what you told me or whatever. But Pisces, Cancer sun and P. Yeah, okay, she said I'm right. Yeah, I knew it was something like that. Yeah, that's an interesting combination of placements there.
Yeah, so if she has that, she has a similar layer, but it has to involve her emotions a little more than it does with her appearance.
Okay.
So if she is feeling a little bit emotionally like targeted, she's going to put that shield up a little bit stronger. Okay. Now, if it's her rising, you're going to shield up emotionally to the capacity that it needs to be. When you're dealing with it with an actual moon, your level of emotions is on a higher level with other people because you are more in tune with your emotions. As a Pisces, you're very sassy and kind of have like that bubbly personality that kind of just keeps everybody rolling. So emotionally, if she feels some sort of way, she's going to be like, okay, that doesn't fit with how I'm feeling, but I don't want to ruin how everything's going in my mood, so I'm just going to put this back up.
It's interesting that you say sassy, Gabs, because I've never in my life associated Pisces with sassy. That's new to me. I've never, ever associated them with that.
So it's more of like a bubble sass. It's not really sassy in the sense of like scatty. Like, you know how like you have those people that you just don't know how to take them because they're just so like overboard.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Pisces are like a level-headed version of that.
Okay, so basically, they level-headed Geminis, basically.
Yes. Now, Geminis, that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, Geminis are, they need Sigmund Freud to figure them out.
Pisces can be very petty, but they have a reason for it. Like,
I'm starting to hear this quite a bit.
Respected their love and their respect towards a person.
Right.
So, like, that's how Pisces roll. They rule on affection, just similar as Leos do. So if your affection is negative or has a light that doesn't really give off the exact vibration that they're pulling off, then they're going to instantly disregard you and put like a shield up. They're like, okay, you know what? I'm done with you. Nice doing business with you. And they'll walk away.
Now, let me add to what you said, even though I agree with what you said, just to add balance to what you just said. Mm-hmm. Also, one thing that Pisces need to keep in mind is, and this would help them a lot more where they won't have to feel that way, let people earn your empathy a little more. Just don't give it to everybody because everybody's not going to reciprocate. I think that'll save you a lot less headaches later if you just don't give it to the people that deserve to have it. So you won't feel like, oh, I'm giving all my energy out. That make you feel more balanced. It
is hard to do that. Yeah, it is, especially with you having a Cancer sun.
Mm-hmm.
Because you already feel guarded and you want to be more like affectionate, especially when you feel comfortable. Mm-hmm. So having that extra layer sometimes makes it a little harder for that onion to be peeled.
Sure. Fair enough. And that's fine, Sweet Pea. Just work at it. I know it's not easy. It's easier for some people. Like it's easier, for example, let's take an Aquarius, for example, which is what Sean is. Mm-hmm. Aquarius have a natural disposition to not be emotional anyway, so it's much easier for them to turn their emotions off versus a Pisces. They don't operate from a general reference of emotions. They have them. A lot of people say, "Oh, Pisces or Aquarius aren't emotional at all." That's not true. They just don't lead with their emotion. They lead with their mind first. So that's why they look different. That's why Pisces and Aquarius also can go one way or the other. They can get along with each other, or they can dislike each other based off one experience because they generally operate from two different frames of reference. That's all. But they're also humanitarians too. They're both great humanitarians. So if they find that center ground, they can get along with each other.
They are like the cheerleaders of the water signs. Like they really do want to incorporate a lot of good vibrations for the most part. If they're an unbalanced water sign, you're gonna see the pettiness. You're gonna see extra layers of them that doesn't really feel like a Pisces. It's gonna feel like, oh, what is this?
Let me give you an example, Gabs, of somebody that's like that. My best friend is a Pisces. Mm-hmm. And he tries crap with everybody except me because I'm very perceptive because I have my rising is in Pisces. So I pick up on people's intentions, and my moon's in Aquarius, and I'm a Cancer sun. Those are all very perceptive zodiac signs. And it's just, I'm very perceptive when he's about to do something petty, and I will check it. He tries that, and I've seen him get away with it a lot of times with pretty much everybody except me. So, and the reason I'm able to pick that out on his placement is he's a Pisces sun, a Libra moon, a Mercury in Pisces, but he has a lot of fire too. His risings in Sagittarius. His Venus is in Aries, and he has another Aries somewhere else. I can't think of somewhere else placement. I think it's North Node in Sagittarius too. So he's got a lot of fire, and that Libra moon lends towards being petty if it's not balanced. So he's already a Pisces sun, and he got a Libra moon. So he has a disposition to what Gabby just said, where he'll be a lot pettier than most Pisces based off his placements. And he has a Mars in Cancer, which also can be petty. So, he's one of probably the more pettier Pisces. They have a lot of air in their chart. They can have a disposition to be petty sometimes. So that's the thing with that. But man, I'm glad we got so much feedback. I'm probably going to go for another maybe 10-ish minutes or whatever because I got to start getting ready for my next show. And I'm sure Gabby got to start winding her children down. So we'll do part 2 next week, and then part 3, part 4, whatever you need to do. Helga, hello. Represent the big A to Amsterdam. Hello, my beautiful soul sister and daughter. It's a male on here, Helga. I just want you. No, you're talking about Gabby. I'm joking. I know. Gabby and Leslie. Who is Leslie? Oh, Sweet Pea. I always forget P. I call her P. So I might say, who is Leslie? I always forget her name. I can be super petty. But you also got placements, Rochelle, and based on what you showed us today, you got quite a bit of Scorpio in your chart and Capricorn. Scorpios and Capricorns have a disposition to be petty. So those are some interesting placements there. And Aquarius too, or whatever. What's up, Helga? Or whatever. I always forget Leslie's name. It's Leslie because I met her at Sweet Pea. But yeah. So I'm trying to think, is it any pressing questions on today's overall episode? Because we're bringing this one to a close soon because I got to get ready for my last show for today at about 9ish. But so we're going to do 10 minutes here.
Honey, it's possible.
Any final pressing questions that y'all have about the general? How about people start saying, oh, I dated this person and it didn't work, or I'm currently dating this person? You don't have to give any details about the person. Just say, I dated this person and I'm this combination and it didn't work. Why doesn't it work? Gabby can handle that. Like that, if y'all have any questions about that.
Sweet Pea, my signs are, I have a Taurus sun. Sorry, my husband woke up from his nap. Can't tell that.
And if you look at her profile on here, she got 3 of her placements in her profile. And Sue Arnold said, "Don't tape up your kids." I'm pretty sure Gabby is.
Yeah, no, I'm taping a hole on this balloon. My son doesn't believe me that it won't blow. So I'm trying to compromise with his petty ass right now. His Pisces petty is coming out real quick.
All Gabby's kids are Pisces, by the way.
Yeah, all my kids are Pisces. My husband's a Pisces. When I first met him, I definitely felt like he was more of an Aquarian. So I'm like, oh, we'll get along great. Didn't really think much of it. And then all of a sudden, like 3 years into our marriage, I'm like, what the heck is your sign? And I look up, and sure enough, he's a Pisces.
Wait. You said 3 years.
It took me 3 years to realize why the fuck me and him don't like fit, like click. There was like a point where I got really petty. My Taurus part was like,
oh,
ooh, you're pushing me in directions I hate you right now, and I just don't like it. And so I like had an attitude for a little bit, and he had to deal with my petty ass.
And Tauruses are petty that you do not want to deal with. I can guarantee you, they're a pain in the ass type petty.
I was a super pain in the ass. I'll admit it. I take full responsibility for my assholery. It was great learning that.
But I would say, generally speaking, Tauruses don't come out petty. That's not how they like.
Because of my Leo being in my the way I expand for my Chiron, my wound, it looks super fucking petty, dramatically petty. Like it shouldn't be existing in that category. So that rare version of yourselves in your wound of how you deal with extraness that doesn't really vibe with your connection of your chart, you're gonna see it in your.
I just want.
Okay, then ask. Are you gonna try to practice? Okay, go out that way.
Oh,
thank you,
I'm
Ryan.
gonna be very strong and black. Yeah.
Oh, what? Okay, you guys have to go out that way with these. I'll be right back. Hold on.
Okay. Actually, we can start wrapping up soon here because I got to get going anyway. I'll give Gabs a few minutes to get back on. Otherwise, I'll text her and say I had to end the show. Hello, everyone. Y'all missed for the people that are just getting here. I think it'll be very valuable for you to go back and listen to the episode and catch the replay because I'll be done in literally the next 4 to 5 minutes. But this is something as we went along. We quickly decided that this is not going to be a 1 episode thing. So every Wednesday, this will be. And next week, I want to encourage a couple of you to call in. Don't be scared, especially if you have a profile picture. Your face is already up there. And if you're one of the people that are very security conscious, it's probably best that you don't, A, use your name, and B, don't have a profile picture. Just put an avatar or something up there. But since your face is up here now, that's you telling me you don't mind calling in. So I'm going to hold some of y'all accountable. We're going to try to get Rochelle to call in next time. She's very curious. Sean, if we can get you next week. Sadie, if you want to come up. And also, who else? I'm on my mission. Les will probably be a little difficult getting Les up. She doesn't quite come up that much because the time schedule confliction. But we'll try to get you on. Okay, yeah, we'll be on.
How late? Yeah, let me know how late, because.
Les, how late do you usually get on? After 8 or something like that?
Hunger.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
replay is definitely helpful.
Oh yeah, she put me up. You said like how? I guess you mean like now because you put how. Okay, yeah, I thought that's what you meant. Yeah. So what we could do is because Sweet Pea, shout out to Sweet Pea, by the way, she put me on with the I totally stole her idea with the spread. Mine is called Spread the Wealth, and I totally got her for that. And I always give her credit. 8:30 and okay. That'll be kind of tough for Gabs probably to go on that late.
Honestly, that's not too bad for me. Normally, I'm coming on live on usually late at night anyway. Mostly because my kids, it's so much easier when they're laid to rest. But I do love coming on a little bit earlier because then you get to kind of get me actually a little bit more focused.
Sure.
But if Sweet Pea's gonna come on, by George, I would love to do a late one. I do not mind that.
You know what? This is what we can do. My dead days for a while, just freestyle, because technically I'm off Tuesdays, Thursdays, and most Fridays. So if you want to add another day, let's say like a Thursday, what we do later, I'm cool with that. But Wednesdays, it got to stay around the 6:30 time frame because my last show is around 9, so that'll overlap with that show. But
it does. It takes some time.
It takes a try. Yes, it does. So if you want to do that, I'm all for a gap. So for example, like tomorrow, if you want to do a late show, I'm all for it.
Well, honestly, I would prefer probably a Friday.
Friday? Okay, let's do Friday.
Because then. I already do a double hit on Tuesdays and Wednesdays.
Okay. I got you. Don't want to burn it to Thursday. I got you. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, you can't do Fridays? Bummer. Okay. If we need to, I would love to do a Thursday just to kind of like, if Sweet Pea, do you mind being a guinea pig for a chart on a Thursday then? Sundays or Thursdays? Okay.
She said not at all.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
Okay, so we can make that for tomorrow then.
Yeah, we can do it for tomorrow. I'll put it in there. Yeah. Okay. If you have your chart, awesome. Let me I will give you, if you go into my profile and go to my you'll see in there on that little like bio of like how much shit that I put in there. At the very bottom, that email that's used for donations, you can email me there and I'll look over your chart so we can get like a good clear head of how we want to do it, and I'll send it a copy to TJ if you're cool with that.
Sure. We doing it on my channel, Gabs?
We can. Yeah, absolutely.
Sure. And FYI, I just want to be clear. Whatever money gets sent to this show, me and Gabby split. So whatever y'all send, she gets half automatically.
Yeah, we're doing it tomorrow. Yeah.
So automatic. I just want y'all to know that. So whatever y'all send, you don't have to feel afraid to. You can send it to her if you want to. I'm just saying, whatever y'all send to me and Gabby automatically splits. So she get half of that, no matter, because that's how it works.
We'll do it at 8:39.
That's good. That's good. 8:39 is good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll text you and we can correlate whatever. Yeah, I'll talk to you. If 9 works better, 9 or whatever. Y'all, me and Gabby will correlate. Just be looking out for a banner from me. We'll put like, reading charts. I'll come up with something slick. Just be looking out for the between 8:30 and 9 for me to post something up here or whatever. But I'm gonna let Gabby go at this moment. Gabs, you want to push what you have going on your channel and your business?
I will. Actually,
or you can post it in the
yeah, I can't do it in here. Oh, bummer. Okay, so ways you guys can get a hold of my crazy ass over here is you guys can go to my website at www.msretc369.wix, which is Wix site.com/spirit reading. I'll put that in the comments here too because it's like a mouthful. I'm still trying to get a domain that feels comfortable. Still working on that. And so there's that. And then I also have a like I said, it's a mouthful. And then if you want to find me on Facebook, it's facebook.com/MSRETC, all in caps. And I'm usually on live Sunday mornings at 7:30 Central Time. And I'm also live for free readings and sometimes some random crap on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Central. And of course, I'm here on Wednesdays at 6:30, usually with Mr. TJ.
Yep.
And we will be on tomorrow, so you guys can get a little one-on-one.
Mm-hmm. And if Thursdays or well, no, I don't want to do Gabs every Thursday. If anything, if we start beyond tomorrow, if we start a second show by popular demand, of course, if y'all ask us to, we won't do it otherwise. But if we start a second show, we'll do it Fridays. Me and Gabby. PST Eastern Time Zone. Where do you live? That you put question marks on all of them. Which one do you live in? Because I live in Central Time Zone. What do you mean?
I live in Central as well.
Yeah. So the question is, what time zone do you live in? You guys are broadcasting.
Okay, so
go ahead, Gabs.
Usually 6:30
Central
time in the evening. That's usually when we do it, and it's usually on a Wednesday.
Yep.
Tomorrow we are going to be doing it. I'm going to say 9 o'clock. Let's just safe bet at 9 o'clock p.m. 9 p.m. Central Time. We are going to have. Oh, you're Eastern. Okay, good. You're right ahead of us now.
In front of us. Yeah, that's just 1 hour. Yeah.
You got this. So basically, we're going to have beautiful Sweet Pea on tomorrow, and we'll go over her chart with her on live, and you guys can kind of see what that looks like so that you guys can kind of get a good picture of how to even look at your own charts.
Absolutely.
In the comments, I saw TJ had put up some really cool links to different ways that you can look up your chart.
Yep.
And so that is a good start. What you really need to find out about yourself to get all that information, you need the city you were born in, your date of birth, obviously, that's important, and the time you were born. That is for the most accurate part. Now, if you do not know your birth time, just go ahead and put it for 12 in the afternoon.
Yep.
That way you get a balanced, round out kind of idea of where you're at.
Yep. I can say this. I don't know my exact birth time because my mom said it's 6, but she forget if it was evening or morning because she was heavily sedated and it was dark. It could be dark at 6, or even though I was born in the summer, so it was dark. It was likely 6 p.m., but I don't know the exact time, so I just round. I can say this though. Every place I check for my moon, or because the time just mainly predicts your moon sign. Every place that I check, unknown, it always pops up in Aquarius. So 9 out of 10 times my moon was in Aquarius. So even though I don't know my exact time, I've checked multiple different sites, and they all agree that the moon was in that time. So obviously my moon's in Aquarius, just based off that information. So we're gonna let Gabby go now. Any questions you have, you can direct towards me, my page, or Gabby's, and you can click on Gabby's. I'll just put her in the comments so you can have a link to her page directly. If you click on or you hover over it, it'll pop up whatever you need to know. So if you want to ask her directly, don't want to ask me, go to her thing. That's fine. You can go to one of her videos and ask her something specifically about her business stuff. And then obviously you're on my page now, so you can see what my stuff is. So thank you, Gabby. As always, a million. She's always prepared, very informative, very sweet. So thank my guest host Gabby for being here, and air horns to her for that. Thank you, Gabby. And we'll see everybody tomorrow, 9 p.m. Central. Gabby was on here making fun of us yesterday about dancing. She owed me a dance. She think I forgot, but tomorrow on camera, y'all.
I still know. I got dance moves.
She got the moves. Okay, so she got her shot out the way.
But I told you, I'm kind of like Brian with that dance thing. I'm literally, unless I have a good song that's gonna like make my booty shake, that's pretty much all it goes. I'm kind of like a sidestep shuffle kind of thing. That's all I got.
Okay. Hey, that's something. Some people are wallflowers, so at least you got that when you go to the party. You are not permitted to be a wallflower if you're at parties with me. I don't care if you're a bad dancer, at least dance. Not be a wallflower.
I totally understand. I will work on that for you, just for you.
Oh no, you're good with what you just said. You already demonstrated some kinetic energy of movement, so you're good. All right, we're gonna get out of here because Gabby have mommy demands and I have other crap to do. I need to eat. So yeah. So I will catch y'all tomorrow 9 p.m. Central Time from Hunger Creative Devil's Action Central Time. So just literally 10 o'clock your time. If not, if you can't catch it live, just catch the replay, and we'll have Sweet Pea on with us. Everybody else, in the meantime, next week I want y'all to call in and hopefully y'all have a little more information on y'all chart so we can share or just give testimonies. I get along with this person, that person, whatever. You don't have to give out their identity. Just give hypotheticals. So, all right, Gabs, thank you.
You're welcome.